Okay, today we're going to have an informal presentation on video of what do trademarks have to do with the mark of the beast. We opened up with this little piece of cardboard that I cut out of a Rollins shoebox. And on this Rollins shoebox we have a white R inside of a red circle, and it has a little R with a circle around it, indicating it's a registered trademark. That's the Rollins Shoe Company, very popular sports shoe. And there is a registered trademark for phrase for that trademark that says the mark of a pro. Well, in the Bible we have, in Revelation chapter 13, we have the words, the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast. In modern day we say the mark of a pro is representing Rollins shoes. The R does not stand for Rome, and it does not stand for Romanism or the Roman Catholic Church. We're not bringing any ill repute upon Rollins Shoe Company. We're just using this as an illustration of how this is a trademark, and this phrase is a trademark, and we're going to talk about how trademarks relate to the mark of the beast. When we're talking about the mark of the beast, we need to define our terms, don't we? So I've started a little visual aid here. I've written down the beast. Well, as Seventh-day Adventists, we have all sorts of Bible studies to prove that the beast is the papacy, or the office of the Pope. And the Pope is the leader or so-called head of the Roman Catholic Church. Now, some people have said the beast is the Roman Catholic Church. That's a little bit of a misnomer. The beast is the papacy, which is the visual head of the Roman Catholic Church. But the papacy is made up of a combination of two things. The papacy is made of a combination of the apostate Catholic Church. Now you see, the Catholic Church is a different church from the Roman Catholic Church. When you put Roman in front of Catholic, you change the meaning of it. But apostate, does anybody know what apostate means? Apostate means fallen away from apostolic doctrine and truth and purity. So the Catholic Church, Catholic means universal, okay? Catholic is like worldwide or universal. So the Catholic Christian Church, or the Christian Catholic Church, was that church that Jesus Christ, or Yahshua, the Messiah, instituted before he died. The Christian Church. But it was also the Holy Catholic Church. Holy meaning set aside and sanctified for Christ's purpose. But Christ was the head of that apostolic church, that pure church. Christ was the head. But when that Catholic Church went into apostasy, it became the apostate Catholic Church, and it started leaving It went away from pure doctrine. For instance, they gave up the holy Sabbath day for the day of the sun. And then eventually there was the papacy formed, which was the combination of the fallen away Catholic Church and Roman government. Seventh-day Adventists have been well schooled on this concept here. Now, where did the beast have its influence? The beast had its influence primarily during the Middle Ages in what we call the Old World. And I've drawn the globe here, and my artwork is not to be scrutinized closely, please. But the Old World is the Eastern Hemisphere, where Europe is, where Italy, where Rome is, and that's where the Vatican is today. And that's where the Pope and the Roman Church had its main influence in the Middle Ages, when the beast had great power over the world. Now, in modern times, the Scripture tells us there will be an image of the beast. An image of the beast. And where will the image of the beast have its influence? The image of the beast will have its influence in the New World. And the New World is this Western hemisphere, or Western part of the earth. That's the New World. And as we studied history coming up through even public school, we learned about the Old World and the New World, ancient history and so forth of the Old World, and modern history in the New World. The image of the beast, we came to understand, would be a reflection of the beast, or a child of the beast. The Bible talks about the image of God. The Bible talks about man being created in the image of God. Man was originally, Adam was created as a reflection of God in character, and we even believe in looks, to whatever degree we can understand that. So the image of the beast would be a reflection of the beast, or a child of the beast, offspring of the beast. And so in our study, we came to the conclusion that this image would have to be made up of two parts, just as the papacy was. A combination of two parts. Well, what is this first part? That's an apostate church. And what is the second part? It's a government. So we're going to have to find an apostate church and a government that combine together. Well, we found one. We found the apostate SDA church Okay? We found an apostate SDA church, and we found it in combination with United States government. Now, the United States is in the New World, isn't it? And in Revelation chapter 13, we read here, in Revelation chapter 13, starting at verse 11, we read, "And I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spoke like a dragon." Two horns like a lamb. Every Seventh-day Adventist teacher of prophecy agrees that this verse refers to the United States. The two-horned beast. The United States, or Protestant America. And so, if this is the two-horned beast, that has come to existence in the New World, then it fits for the image of the beast. And the apostate SDA church fits because it was the true church that came out of the Reformation. You see, back up here, the Catholic Church was the true church that came out of Christ's mission on earth. And this is in the old world. And here we are in the new world, and what is the true church that came out of the Reformation of the old world to the new world? The Seventh-day Adventist Church. And it has become apostate just as the Holy Catholic Church did, forming with Roman government. The apostate Seventh-day Adventist Church combines itself with United States government. And what does this form? It forms the corporation. The corporation. What corporation? The office of the GC Corporation, or the General Conference Corporation. Do you see the parallel between this office and the office of the Pope? Well, if you haven't seen it yet, perhaps as we go forward here you will see it. In all of the legal paperwork that I have been able to uncover, which I have all of this documented, I have quite a nice thick notebook with materials in it. This corporation is designated as the head of the SDA church. Do you see a parallel now between this and this? The image of the beast is not the Seventh-day Adventist Church. The beast is not the Roman Catholic Church. we make a mistake to condemn the church as such. The church is made up of people. The church is made up of believers. The church is made up of people who love Christ. Do you think Roman Catholics don't love Christ? Do you think they join the Roman Catholic Church because they love Satan? That would be foolish, wouldn't it? Do you think faithful, Bible-believing people join the Seventh-day Adventist Church because they want to serve Satan? No. I have never seen anybody in the Seventh-day Adventist Church that would say, I joined the Seventh-day Adventist Church to serve Satan. No. They joined because they thought they were joining the true church, the people of God. I myself was a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And I joined that church thinking I had found the true church. But that church became apostate. It fell away from the purity of the doctrines which made it the true church. And it fell to the point that it took on the United States government as a way of obtaining power. And when it came together with the government, it formed the corporation which we can read about in Revelation 13. And we read about that in verse 15 of Revelation 13. And there was given to him, the antecedent for him is the two-horned beast. And there was given to him, the two-horned beast, power to give breath to the image of the beast. If you will, visualize a little stuffed dog here. Visualize me holding this little stuffed dog. And none of us in this room, and none of us viewing this video, would bow down and worship this dog, would we? We're too intelligent to do such a thing. But now, what if you saw me hold this little stuffed animal in my hands and breathe on that little stuffed animal and put him down on the floor, and he started walking around, barking, wagging his tail, licking you, and if you didn't do what he wanted you to do, growl and threaten to bite you, what would you do then? What would you do then? Would you not be inclined to worship me? Would you not be inclined to take heed of that little dog? Because that little dog is now brought to life by some supernatural power. You have never seen such a thing happen in your life, and you will probably never see it again. And you're thinking, this man and this dog are something special. And if you know me to be a good man, you're likely to think this power came from God. True? And if I bring forth life in this stuffed animal, and this little dog comes over and licks you, and acts friendly, you're going to consider that this is a godly arrangement. And if you start to cross the dog's wishes, he growls a little bit and warns you that he will bite you, you're liable to worship the dog. In other words, you're likely to obey what the dog wants you to do. Based on, one, you believe I'm a godly man and I wouldn't turn loose a dog on you that would steer you wrong. And two, the dog threatens to hurt you and you don't want to be hurt. Are you following? So now let's go back to the scripture and fill in the pieces. Verse 15, and there was given to him, the two-horned beast, to give breath to the image of the beast. Okay, let's get literal now. Here we've got this corporation. Does anyone know what a corporation is? A corporation is a fake person. It's a creation of law. A corporation is a non-entity. It's merely an image of something. And in the Christ, the Beast, and the Corporation, we read the definition of it and so forth. Did you know, or do you remember, after looking at the video, the Christ, the Beast, and the Corporation, that religious corporations were invented by who? Do you remember that the Pope was the one who instigated and chartered the first religious corporations? So we said the image of the beast would be a reflection of the beast. Here we have a reflection, the head of a church. And we said it would be the child of the papacy, or the child of the beast. The Pope was the one who chartered the first religious corporation. It's a child of the papacy. It fits by two measures, or by two parameters. Now, a corporation is a phony person by law, and it's made up of a panel or group of people who act in representation for this corporation. So this corporation sort of dictates to these people what this corporation wants it to do. But these people get their heads together and sort of decide for the corporation what it's going to do. That may sound confusing. Perhaps one of these days I'll be able to do a video in depth on corporations for you. The idea is that a group of people can operate as one person. That's the idea. Now, the reason the Seventh-day Adventist Church wanted to be incorporated and have a corporation was originally to be able to hold property. Now we're here at St. Joseph, Tennessee. We're doing this for and with the St. Joseph Creation Seventh-day Adventist Fellowship. But in the future, we intend to organize as a church body, and in doing so, our membership may grow, and we may want to buy property and have a church house. Now, by law, we can't do that unless we form a corporation. It would be whatever name that we chose to use, to own property and build a building and have that thing owned by the church. It would be a corporation of its own. It would be like one person, but whoever was a member of that church would be part of the corporation. But the St. Joseph, if it was St. Joseph Creation Seventh-day Adventist Church, that would be the corporation that owned the property and the building, and if somebody wanted to quit the church and leave, they renounced any ownership or say-so in that property. In principle, that's not all that bad, is it? It's just an image. Now, in the commandments, what do we have? In the commandments, God gave us a principle. He said, don't you make any graven images, and don't you bow down and worship them. Well, obviously, it's not a sin to make the graven image, because God told Moses to make some brazen serpents, or whatever, or brazen serpent. And at different times there was ornamentation, in the Jewish religion. So it cannot be a sin of itself to just make a graven image. But what are you going to do with that graven image? See? What are you going to do with that corporation after you form it? Are you going to sue people? Are you going to take them to court? Are you going to put life into that corporation so it can both speak and cause as many as would not worship that corporation to be put out of business, killed, or whatever? In other words, are you going to let that corporation lie as a dormant image and just hold property for you, serve you that way? Or are you going to say, corporation, come to life, do something? Start barking, start licking, start growling. So you see the point I'm trying to make here? In the initial forming of that corporation, they had good intentions, and it wasn't really sin. Until the day that the two-horned beast breathed life into that corporation. And how did that happen? Well, let's finish reading the verse. Verse 15, and there was given to the two-horned beast to give life and breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast, or the corporation, might speak and cause as many as do not agree with or worship the image of the beast to be killed. Speak and cause. How does a corporation speak? It speaks by law and policy. You have corporate policy. Now, when corporate policy goes beyond holding property, you're going to get in trouble. And law. What does the law say that the corporation has power to do? Cause is to force. These are words from the Bible here. Speak and cause. Cause means to force or influence. Let's go back to the example of the little stuffed animal. After I breathe life into this dog and I set it loose and it starts walking around and performing for you, can that dog have some influence on you? Yes. if that dog is eating and you start to take its food away, many dogs will warn you, won't they? You're now crossing the line. You're crossing the line. You're about to take away a benefit that I will not let you have. Now that dog is setting the law. And if you know what's good for you, you'll leave him alone. Because he's not going to lick you. If you take that food, he's liable to take it away from you, and a little bit more. You know, he might take some of your hand with it. I'm trying to draw a picture for you here so you can see the danger of this corporation. Because when the proper law and policy is in effect, this corporation can speak like a dragon, as it mentioned in verse 11. And it can cause or force or influence those within its realm, or whatever the law allows for, to do whatever it wants them to do. You think I've explained that far enough? Okay. Now, what happened? The United States, which this apostate SDA church combined with, decided, and I don't have all of the facts on this yet, because I'm not a lawyer and I haven't read all of the legal documentation, but in trademark law, I think it was in the 1940s, 1946 or so, the Lanham Act was, Congress passed the Lanham Act. I think it was in 1946, Lanham Act. It covers trademarks. And I'm not sure that if it was in this particular act or in amendments to this act, but at some point they allowed for religious corporations to have the same opportunity for trademarking their names as commercial entities. So we had trademark law then. Trademark law approved, and let me say U.S. trademark law. U.S. trademark law approved for religious corporations. Now, what do we have? We have the life breathed into the corporation, because now there's a law in place that if the corporation cooperates with it, they have a way to speak and they have a way to cause something to happen. In 1980, there was an application made. In 1981, the application was made. In 1981, application was approved by the United States Department of Commerce for the Seventh-day Adventist Church to have a federal trademark registered for the name. Seventh-day Adventist. Seventh-day Adventist. Now, who applied for it? Who applied for the trademark Seventh-day Adventist? It was the corporation. The General Conference Corporation applied for the trademark of the name Seventh-day Adventist. And in 1981, the United States Department of Commerce approved the application of the General Conference Corporation. That made the church-state union solidly in place. Now the corporation has the power, they've got the life breathed into them, and now they can sue you. They can go to the court and say, summons them to court. They are doing something we don't want them to do. They're taking the food out from under our face. They're taking the tithe money. They're taking whatever, and we're going to bite. But we can't bite without the sword of Caesar. We can't bite without the sword of Caesar, you see. Now the corporation, the General Conference Corporation, is the owner of this trademark. Rawlings Shoes. The Rawlings Corporation is the owner of this trademark. It's fully legal and fully okay. Why? Because it's a commercial entity, and they have the right to protect their corporation trade name. They're in business for profit. They have a right to protect their name from a legal standpoint. Now, is this Seventh-day Adventist name a name of a product? Is that the name of a business? Is that the name of a for-profit corporation? Unfortunately, today it may be. But we don't think of churches. We don't think of religious societies and religious organizations as a for-profit business. Perhaps it has become that. But Christ never would have had it that way. So the name Seventh-day Adventist is owned by the General Conference Corporation, and they call it intellectual property. Intellectual property. And you know what the law says? The law says this name emanated from this corporation. This name emanated. You know what the word emanated means? Came from. When a mother has a baby, the baby emanates from her. Correct me where I'm wrong, please. This name, according to the laws of trademark, must have come from the intellect of this corporation. In other words, the General Conference Corporation created Seventh-day Adventist. The whole concept of it. It's their product by trademark law. Now let me ask you a question. If a prophet told you this name Seventh-day Adventist was given to someone by God, and this corporation claimed to be the creator of this name Seventh-day Adventist, what is the logical progression of thinking? the General Conference Corporation is God. Let's read in Thessalonians what the Bible says about this. It's very interesting and very discouraging to the Adventist constituency. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Paul is writing to the Thessalonians here about 51-52 AD. He says, "Now we request you, brethren, with regard to the coming of the Lord Jesus Christ and our gathering together to Him, that you may not be quickly shaken from your composure, or be disturbed either by the Spirit or message, or a letter as if from us, to the effect that the day of the Lord has come already. Let no man, or let no one in any way deceive you, for it, that is the coming of Christ, will not come unless the apostasy comes first, and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the son of destruction, who opposes and exalts himself above every so-called God or object of worship, so that he takes his seat in the temple of God, displaying himself as being God." Now this was fulfilled in the prophecy of the beast. Do you recall ever reading some of the claims of the Pope by the Roman Catholic Church? The Pope was declared to be Jesus Christ in the flesh. And we have documentation on that. I don't have it here today. This video is not really being done for non-Adventists, so we don't really feel the need to have to document all that for us today. Seventh-day Adventists should already know this. Remember that in Revelation 17 it talks about the names of blasphemy? It is blasphemy to claim the office of God. Why did the Pharisees have so much trouble with Christ? He, as a man, was claiming to be God. But he was God. It's fully okay for God in the flesh to claim to be God. But it is blasphemy for the Pope or any other sinner man to claim that title. By logical conclusion, Ellen White, the Seventh-day Adventist prophet, co-founder of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, in its purity, says that God gave His people this name. The law says the General Conference Corporation came up with this name. By conclusion, we would have to say the General Conference Corporation has stepped into the temple of God, claiming to be God. I think it is so crystal clear, brothers and sisters, that any faithful, true-hearted Seventh-day Adventist would see this and make quick moves to correct it. Now let's go a little further, because Seventh-day Adventists say, the mark of the beast is Sunday. The mark of the beast is Sunday. Okay. And Ellen White says there will be a national Sunday law, and they will try to force us to keep Sunday and all of this. Well, we could probably do a 2-hour tape on that, explaining, and we probably should do that. The fact is that the old world beast had the mark of Sunday as their mark of power. And to all practical intents and purposes, what Ellen White and the pioneers of the Seventh-day Adventist Church saw as the mark of the beast followed perfectly. But time did not end when they thought it would end. Society changed enormously. Do you know that in 1900 most people went to church? Do you know that in 1900 there were almost no atheists in this country? Or agnostics? They were almost non-existent. And if they did exist, they didn't talk about it because they would be burned at the stake. In 1900, America was a religious country. And that's why they declared in 1892 or 93, when they closed the World's Fair in Chicago on Sunday, Congress declared this country to be a Christian nation and closed the World's Fair on Sunday. In 1893, I think that was. A.T. Jones, one of the great Seventh-day Adventist preachers, said that was the fulfillment of the Sunday law. Well, he overstepped a little bit, but he was right to a degree that that was the principle of it. The fact they declared this country to be a Christian nation indicated that the people at large believed that. Today, would anybody say this is a Christian nation? Do the majority of people go to church? No. In Ellen White's day, a national Sunday law was on the horizon. The bill, the Blair Sunday Rest Bill, was before Congress. In our day, talk to any well-informed lawyer or congressman about a national Sunday law and they'll laugh in your face. Because the way the laws are set up in this country right now, it could not happen without total collapse of society. But let's show that the final fulfillment of the mark of the beast is centered in a name. The name of the beast. And let me say this. If this is the beast and this is the child of the beast, wouldn't any characteristic of this child of the beast be from the beast? So if this name is the name of the image, wouldn't it also be the name of the beast? Because it was emanating from the beast. It doesn't matter how many generations down it is, it's still emanating from the beast. So it's still the mark of the beast. Because it comes from the image of the beast, which is a true reflection of the beast. let's look at Revelation 14. Revelation 14, I'm going to start with verse 9 and read verses 9, 10, and 11. And another angel, a third one, followed them means the first two angels, saying with a loud voice, or a loud cry, if anyone worships the beast and his image, and receives a mark on his forehead or upon his hand, he also will drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is mixed in full strength in the cup of his anger. And he will be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Now let me ask you a simple question. Do you want to be in this category? It's a loaded question, isn't it? Nobody in their right mind wants to receive of the wrath of God. Nobody in their right mind wants to be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels. How many million Baptists do we have out there who get saved to avoid hellfire? Proof positive that people don't want to burn in fire. I'm saddened that people have such a distorted view of the character of God. But nobody in their right mind wants to be cast into a lake of fire. And yet it says here, if anyone worships the beast in his image and receives that mark, either in the forehead, which means what? What's the forehead? The forehead is where you make your decisions. Conscious decisions. I believe in the Sabbath. That came from my forehead. I believe in Yeshua as my Savior. That came from my forehead. In the hand means support or going along with something. I don't like to walk in the rain. But let's say my wife says, I want to go for a walk. I say, honey, it's raining outside. She says, that's okay. I have an umbrella. Let's go for a walk. Well, I don't like to walk in the rain. But I go along with her. I take her idea in my hand, and I grab her by the hand, and I say, okay, I'll go along. I take it in the hand. She has it in the head. I got it in the hand. Walking in the rain. Do you get the picture? This mark of the beast in his image can be taken in the forehead or the hand. You can believe in it and say it's the thing to do. I agree with it. That's in the forehead. Or you can say, I don't agree with it, but I'll take your hand and walk along while you do it. You got the picture? Okay. So either the person that believes in it or the person that says, I don't believe in it, but I'm going to take your hand and walk with you while you do it, both of those people are going to be cast into that brimstone and be tormented day and night. And the smoke, verse 11, and the smoke of their torment goes up forever and ever. And they have no rest. Oh, this has got to be talking to Seventh-day Adventists. What's Sabbath? That's rest. They have no Sabbath. Even though they're observing a seventh day of the week, they have no rest. They have no Sabbath. They have no rest day and night. Those who worship the beast and his image, and whoever receives the mark of his name. The mark of his name. I hear Seventh-day Adventists say, yes, we did a good thing. We trademarked our name so nobody could trade on that name. And I think we should take them to court and put them out of business when they trade on our name without our permission. That person is taking the mark of the beast and his image in their forehead. Now what's so bad about it? It violates the law of God, which says, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. If you love me, he says, keep my commandments. And what is the one word that his commandments are built on? Love. Unconditional love, not eros, the fleshly, lustful love. It is agape, that unconditional love. Okay, you want to use my name? Use my name. Unconditional love. And there are other Seventh-day Adventists that tell me, I don't believe in it. It's terrible evil, but I cannot do anything about what the leaders do, and therefore I must support this church. I must send my tithes. I must